Chelsea have once again been an extremely hot topic throughout the transfer window. Once again, Chelsea somehow, someway managed to bring in 11 different players, bringing their balance for the window to negative 40.5 million euros according to Transfermarkt, all after spending £1 billion across the course of 2 years. Chelsea have gotten rid of Sterling, bringing in a younger Pedro Neto. They've brought in an out of favour Joao Felix from Atletico. I mean, I can go on and talk about the players that they have brought in, but the transfer that I find the most interesting is Chelsea getting Jadon Sancho from Manchester United on a loan with an obligation to buy in the region of £20 million to £25 million, making it the end of Sancho's horrid story with Manchester United and the end with his relationship with Erik ten Hag. Now, I made a video about a month ago speaking about Jadon Sancho and saying that although him and Erik ten Hag had come out and said that everything was patched up and they wanted to keep Sancho and everything was all good, I wasn't buying it. I thought Jadon Sancho had no role in this Manchester United team, and I thought there was no way that Erik ten Hag trusted Jadon Sancho again. So how will this work with Jadon Sancho at Chelsea? Will Enzo Maresca get the best out of Jadon Sancho? How and where will Sancho fit in this Chelsea squad that currently has 30 players in their senior squad alone according to Transfermarkt? And do I think this is even a good transfer, all things considered, for Chelsea and Jadon Sancho? Well, that's what we'll be talking about today. So what's going on, everyone? You are listening to Back of the Net here. I hope you're all doing well. Please be sure to like the video, subscribe if you haven't already, and let's get into it. Now, like I predicted in my previous video about Jadon Sancho, despite Erik ten Hag, Jadon Sancho, and tons of reports coming out that the two had patched up their feud, they were ready to move on and work together at Manchester United for the future, I just didn't buy it, like at all. To publicly disrespect a player and the player then to publicly retaliate, well, to patch that up would be extremely difficult for a player and a manager, and for both parties I didn't see a reason to even patch that up. Sancho was never going to start ahead of Rashford, Garnacho and Ahmad, who Erik ten Hag had publicly come out and said he wanted to give a lot more game time to this season for United. Even if Sancho and Erik ten Hag had, let's say, patched it up, I didn't really see how they could ever get back to the trust that a manager and a player should have with each other, and it would have been extremely difficult for Sancho to even become a genuine starter at Manchester United with everything considered. So on top of having an extremely rocky relationship with your manager and Erik ten Hag, he was now low in the pecking order for wingers at Manchester United, and like I said in that video, he just had to find a way out of Manchester United. So in come Mr. Big Spenders themselves in Chelsea, and despite already bringing in Pedro Neto, Joao Felix, and having the likes of Mudryk, Noni Madueke, Cole Palmer, all of them being able to play out wide, they thought they wanted to bring in yet another winger, and on deadline day they made their move for Jadon Sancho and got him on a loan with an obligation to buy again of the region of 20 to 25 million pounds. Now, although Cole Palmer's best position is undoubtedly a 10, he's more than capable as a winger. So at first I thought, why does Chelsea need another winger? And as of right now, Chelsea have 6 players that can play on both wings. Great depth, no doubt, but maybe it's slightly too much depth. Now, Sancho is still an extremely high-level progressive carrier of the ball, and he has a very high ball retention rate, statistically showing that he's still a very good dribbler, attempting and completing more dribbles per 90 in the Champions League knockout stages than any other player, and he is still good enough to make it hard for the defender in every one-on-one situation. He brings great versatility. He's able to play across the front three as a left wing, a right wing and a striker. Even he's able to play as a deeper wide midfielder. Sancho isn't extremely dissimilar to a player like Noni Madueke when he is playing out wide, although Madueke attempts far more dribbles, and I know this sounds weird after seeing Madueke score a hat-trick against Wolves, but statistically and historically, Sancho is slightly better with end product in the final third than Noni Madueke, so they're not extremely similar, but they're not extremely dissimilar neither. Sancho still also has a great eye for a pass, attempting 22.1 passes into the final third per game. He still has a good burst of pace. He's still very good as a chance creator in the final third, and Sancho in the right environment, like he showed us at Dortmund, is still a very high level player. So where will Sancho fit into this Chelsea team? Well, I kind of foresee Sancho playing as a right winger for the most part for Enzo Maresca and Chelsea, with Pedro Neto playing on the left-hand side. Sancho, of course, brings versatility like I just said, but I believe that under Enzo Maresca, Sancho might even be the first choice right wing ahead of Noni Madueke. Of course, there will be competition out wide for Chelsea, but Sancho has a much better chance at being a first choice winger, a starting winger here at Chelsea, well, than he ever did under Erik ten Hag this season at Manchester United. Chelsea have an extremely long season ahead with Conference League football, Carabao Cup, FA Cup, Premier League, and even the FIFA Club World Cup that could see Chelsea's season stretch all the way into July. So squad depth will be essential for Chelsea. So although 6 wingers is a lot, it is objectively a lot of wingers to have in your first team squad, 6 wingers is slightly maybe too much for my liking. When you consider that they're in all these competitions, it's not a crazy amount of wingers to have neither. Now, call me crazy, I know this may take very badly in a couple of months, but I am actually on board with this transfer of Jadon Sancho to Chelsea. He desperately needed to leave Manchester United, so he did that. He's still fairly young-ish, kind of at 24 years old. He's joining a Chelsea project where he will be one of their better players, especially if he replicates his Dortmund form. He's proven that last season, those last 6 months at Dortmund, he's still a fairly high-level player. And I mean, he had a huge hand in helping Dortmund reach the Champions League final with his really impressive performances against PSG. I mean, last season, he was still ways away from the younger Jadon Sancho that was at Dortmund, that United spent £120 million on, but he was really impressive at times. Jadon Sancho is going to bring experience to this young Chelsea team, is going to bring versatility, he's going to bring yet another goal threat to this Chelsea attack, and in a long season, he's going to provide much needed depth to both wing positions and, like I said, even the striker position, and maybe even ease the workload eventually on Cole Palmer. I've been quite critical of Chelsea's transfer business over the past couple of years. I think just spending so much money on so many different players is not a healthy system. It is definitely going to bring you some really good players in the future, but I don't think it's a healthy way to build up a project, to build up a team mentality. I don't really think it's a great way to do it. But I actually like this transfer from Chelsea. It's a fairly low risk transfer for Chelsea considering how much they've been spending on players. I mean, only having to pay around a £20 million fee for a player that could very well prove to be worth far more than that by the time the season even comes to an end. I know Sancho could very well just prove to be a bust. He could prove to have the same situation that he did at Manchester United here at Chelsea instead. But considering the amounts of money Chelsea have been spending on players, this is as close to playing with house money as possible for Chelsea and Jadon Sancho. I honestly see very little risk that Chelsea are taking with so much potential reward in the future. Like I said, I know this may age badly. I know in a couple months this video may look really bad, and I'll admit it if it does, but I'm on board with this transfer and I can see very little potential downside for this transfer. And for Chelsea, I think it's good work by Chelsea to sign Jadon Sancho.